Welcome to Worthy Ones, the video series where I take all the newest issue 1 comics for the current comic book week and deem them worthy or not worthy. I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content, if you love me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button? Before we dive into it, guys, I just got to give a quick shout out to my boys over at Triumph Comics. They got their newest Kickstarter that launched about a week ago, and this is called Scourge of the Skull Digger Issue 1, a Saga of Talon story. It's G.I. Joe that meets Game of Thrones. The Skull Digger wrestles to regain his lost mojo while an ancient ominous threat looms. The project is already fully funded, but always they can use additional help, and I have a link in my description box below, guys. When you use that link and you back the project in physical form, you're gonna get an additional reward. So definitely, why not back it today? I definitely will back this book myself. It is a worthy book. I have read it, I've talked about it in Worthy Ones in the past, and definitely, you know, support these guys. Independent creators, man, they're the best. So with that being said, let's get started with this week's episode of Worthy Ones. Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. This is issue 1. This is a 36-page comic for $5, written by Jerry Duggan, and the art is done by Gary Brown. This is a very gory comic. This is not for the lighthearted. If you are turned off by like lots of gore and decapitations and all those different types of things, this book is not going to be for you. This is a pretty dark book, lots of action, a lot of storytelling as well, as you get introduced to like this Old West character, this gunslinger, and also this samurai warrior. So basically you're getting introduced to these characters on how they're on two different sides of the spectrum, and somehow it looks like they're being transported to maybe, I don't know, come together. I'm not 100% sure. This book kind of went over my head a little bit. I couldn't really get into all of it because of all the, I don't know, man. I guess because of all the samurai stuff and the culture and everything else, I was kind of a little bit lost by it. But for me, this book was not worthy. It's not a bad book. It's not written poorly. It's just not my acquired taste. Okay, so for me, it's not going to be worthy. For a lot of other people out there, this could be a worthy book and they want to see the direction that this goes in. But for me, I don't think I'm going to buy the second issue. Again, it's just not my acquired taste. I'm not really into Westerns. I'm not into the whole culture thing of like Japan and samurai Japan and all that other stuff. So I'm going to pass this one. But I do think it was well written. I do think it was well illustrated. There's decent action. I'm going to give it a B. So I want to know what you guys thought of this comic down below. But it's just sometimes comics, certain stories are not for everybody. But I do recognize it was a decently written comic. Wolverine Blood Hunt. This is issue 1. Logan fights back in the darkness. 28 pages for the price of $4. Guys, this book is written by Tom Waltz, and the art is done by Juan Jose Rip. Listen, we just got done with Sabretooth War, and now we're already into another miniseries when it comes to Wolverine. The artwork was actually pretty good in here. I loved seeing Wolverine do battle against these vampire-like soldiers. We get reintroduced by the character of Luis, who is Night Guard, and she is actually a vampire, but she's learned to control her vampirism where she doesn't lust for blood. So her and Wolverine are actually working together to try to take on these vampires. And in the comic book, you wind up seeing an event that happened a few days ago, the beginning of the whole, I don't know, sun event that happened, right? And then all of a sudden you wind up seeing Wolverine being attacked again because they want to use him for a weapon. Just typical Wolverine comic book, right? But the person that's behind everything is Maverick. And Wolverine doesn't know that Maverick is a vampire in this comic. So, you know what? This book was worth it. I thought it was fun. Was it the best comic I've ever seen? No. There definitely was a lot of setup in here to get a reader to know who Louise was, what her situation is. Since she's a vampire, why doesn't she lust for blood? So they got to do a lot of explanation in here. And I thought it was a little bit repetitive when it came to the soldiers attacking Wolverine. But the payoff was the end when you got to see Maverick. I thought that made it a little bit more interesting, and I want to see how Wolverine deals with Maverick in the future, and if they're going to capture Wolverine and make him into a vampire. I don't think so, but I kind of want to see that journey. Was this the perfect book? No. So it was worth another read, and I'm going to give this one a C+. I just like reading these Wolverine stories right now, and I just like to see what a writer can do with Wolverine, like how gruesome they can make him, how awesome they can have him kill other people. That's what makes it fun. And since it's vampires, you can push that envelope just a little bit further. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Alpha. This is issue 1. $6.99 comic for 56 pages, guys. When I first got this comic book yesterday, I was kind of like, is this a prelude to Mirage Studios' Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 1? Is this a prelude issue to IDW's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 1? And then I got one of the webheads that wound up saying, Mike, this is Jason Aaron's prelude to the new series that is coming out. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then as I read this, we wind up getting two different stories. One's a story about, it's called Mutant Island, where it tackles the new series that's coming out called Mutant Nation, and it gives you a little insight of all the characters, which I could appreciate. But as hard as they really tried, in case you didn't read anything that was going on in the past, I still found myself a little bit lost at times, okay? So at other times, though, I completely understood what was going on in the story. There was this particular scientist that wanted to fit in with the mutants, with Old Hob, and she did these experiments on herself, and she turned herself into like this spider creature, and then she had the lust to eat everybody, and they were forced to put her down. And it just kind of led to everything that's going to go on in this series. Again, there were some things in this book that were a little bit, who is this character? Who is that character again? What happened here? What happened there? And I was kind of like, it wasn't bad. It was pretty good. But I don't see myself reading it in the long term, right? Then you had Jason Aaron's story, which was the introductory story here, was the story I was more interested in. And this was a story about Donatello, who was actually being captured and being forced to fight against paying humans. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And it was cool to see him actually fight. And the funny thing is he has like fellow people or fellow mutants in the cages with him, and there was one in here that looked like a weasel. Kind of reminded me of like Rocket the Raccoon's like girlfriend from Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is like right there. But that story I was interested in. I was like, oh, I want to see more of this. I want to see how Donatello got captured. Where are the other turtles? Where's Splinter? And the artwork looked good. So overall, I'm going to find this book worthy. More for the Jason Aaron story than the other story. And if I had to grade this book overall, I'm probably going to give this one, I'm going to hit it right in the middle. I'm going to give it a C, because I wanted more of the story I was interested in than the story that I wasn't going to read into the future. And I felt like they kind of packed in way too much story in that Mutant Nation book, and not enough, again, in the Donatello story. So, guys, let me know what you think of this particular prelude to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Did you like it? Are you excited for it? What do you think about Jason Aaron taking over Turtles? And, I want to hear all that stuff in the comments below. The Ultimates, issue 1. You can say this is one of the bigger books of the week, right? This is 40 pages for the price of $6. This is the first appearance of Giant Man, Hank Pym, and the full appearance of Wasp, which is Janet Van Dyne from Earth 6160. This book is written by Denise Camp, and the art is done by Juan Frigeri. This book's artwork is really good. I like the way the characters look. I like this like apocalyptic look in the beginning of the comic as well. The characters' facial expressions are always nice. You gotta love Iron Lad, and you gotta love Doom in this world trying to work together to try to bring the heroes back. That's what a lot of this particular comic was. And you even get to see the beginnings of them creating those orbs to get Spider-Man back. And I thought that was really neat to integrate that into the actual story. And you actually saw a little panel in this comic book with Spider-Man in here when he first gets that orb, because that was their like thought process in here. So again, their original thought process was to get everyone from the 616. They tried actually maybe possibly doing that, and they realized that they couldn't do it. Here's that scene with the Spider-Man in there, right? And then there's like, okay, well, we can somehow do some time travel mumbo jumbo to get all these characters and undo what the maker did and get these characters back here, and we can, you know, save the earth and everything like that. Well, it just failed. And the only two people that they were able to get was Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought that was freaking awesome. And so you get introduced to them in this comic book, right? Now, this comic book was only 30-something pages, but this bad boy took a long time to read, but in a good way. Like, you found yourself really attached to the plan of what Iron Lad and Doom were trying to do. And then you get the character introduction of the new characters in here to get the fully new formed Ultimate Team. And I thought that was phenomenal. And then they're doing battle against this version of like Captain Britain, and they fought against them, and you know, they prevailed and things like that. Just everything that led to this huge fight scene and just them forming this complete Ultimate Team. It was just a lot of fun, and this book was worthy. Definitely. If you thought that this one was like information dump or overload, I can understand that. That's why you kind of need to take your time and read this book. It's a really good story there of them just trying to figure everything out. I cannot wait to see the direction of where this story goes. And this one winds up getting an A for me. Solid read. I will definitely recommend this one. Here we go. One of the most anticipated comics of the week. We got Scarlet. This is issue 1. Miniseries premiere, the next chapter of G.I. Joe, or the Energon universe, I should say. This book is written by Kelly Thompson. The artwork is done by Marco Ferrari. The artwork is okay. I felt like that it could have been better. You know, certain positions that the characters were in were a little bit off. Some of the characters look a little like trunky, maybe not as curvy as they should have been. I don't know. You got Scarlett there with like, she's got kind of like a double chin. I don't know. It was like it tried to be sexy at times. And then at other times when you had like this action, like it was really good, you know, like it really fit the book here. So I felt like it was like hot and cold, right? Like, look at that. That's really good. That nice facial expression right there. I thought the coloring was good. I thought there was this one scene where she's like hopping out of the airplane here. Like, that's pretty cool too. Like, so it was like hot and cold for me, right? So what did I think about the story? Well, Kelly Thompson wrote Black Widow, so I can understand why they chose her to write this book, because when she wrote Black Widow, that was a phenomenal read. And here Scarlet is like a spy, right? And she is going to try to find her friend Jinx, who looks like went into deep undercover, right? And we get to see her taken to this particular place. She runs into this clan, and then there's a mysterious figure that shows up at the end where people are going to be like, holy shit! Like, I can't believe it, right? And I was kind of like, yeah, that's cool. And if you're a G.I. Joe fan, you're totally going to understand why your excitement's at this high level, because this character is so badass, right? For me, I thought this one was good, but it was the weakest out of all the Energon books. And I want to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. This book is worthy, right? But it's not as high. I thought that this was very much a flashback book, you know, seeing the relationship of Jinx and Scarlet and things like that, and her being a spy, which is fine. It's kind of a setup issue, right? And then you get the mysterious figure at the end. It's not bad, but it just didn't hit like it did for me on some of the other books, right? There's no Transformers in this one. Not that there needs to be a Transformer in every single book, but it doesn't really show you why it connects to the Energon universe yet. You would think that this is just right now a book about Scarlet, which is fine. It's a character book. And hopefully it'll show you why this connects to the Energon universe. Cobra Commander, you got right from the start why it connected, right? Because of the Energon that he was in search for, and that he had Megatron with him. Here it's just Scarlet, right? And G.I. Joe character at the end. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give this one a solid B. Hopefully you guys can respect my grade and where I'm coming from on this one. I think I need another issue to see if it's going to get better or not, right? So we'll see what happens with it. Guys, leave me all those thoughts in the comment section below. So there you have it, webheads. There was 5 books I talked about today. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I want to hear all those thoughts, as usual, in the comment section below. And, of course, if you love my content, I'll leave you my newest comic book day haul. This shows you everything that I picked up for the current comic book week. And, as always, guys, make sure you support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always read your comics so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.